Welcome to the Kicking It with Coach K podcast. We have a special episode tonight. We got a full packed house. This is the first one like this that we've done. Very first one, guys. So welcome. Glad to have y'all here.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We're excited. This is crazy. Funny story before we dive in. I was planning on inviting y'all out later, and then these guys got a hold of me as I'm literally getting ready to contact y'all. And they're like, oh, don't worry about it. We already planned one out. They can just do the show. I'm like, awesome. Works perfect, right?
That works out.
So it worked out awesome. This show is brought to you by Brain Jerk and Kennedy Health and Wellness. Brain Jerk, we appreciate these guys for making this happen. The podcast network that they started is growing. It's awesome. This show has been a blast. Every Sunday we've had world champion boxers. We've had student athletes from the area, coaches, state champion last week, or actually just a few days ago on Sunday, state champion from River Rouge coach came on. So it's just been a blast doing this show. Appreciate these guys. They got a lot of stuff going on. They got a risk game tournament coming on up here. They have a blind dating event coming up. So definitely want to check that out. That'll be a lot of fun. So make sure you check out these guys' page and give them some support. We got a lot of sponsors today that we want to kind of just show some love to before we get into the show today. Amaya's Fresh Mexican Grill, the Little Brown Jug, Deb's Floral Designs, Lane's Pizzeria. Shout out. We just seen Lane a minute ago. IWR, Muggsy Sports Grill and Bar, Monroe Sports Center Bowling, Nerdy Designs, All Hard Athletics, and our newest sponsor, shout out to Dev. He's in the house tonight, Monroe County Sports Network. So, and I appreciate you, man, and everything y'all are doing for the community big time. So
Thank you.
I'm happy to have you as a sponsor, and we're happy to have you on the show tonight, man.
Vice versa.
So every show, we start the show with a quote. I think it's, I don't think it's everything, but I'm a big, like, quote on the wall guy, kind of things to live by, staples to live by. So our quote today is winning makes you different and different scares people. And what I mean by that, as far as how I relate it to our guests here today, is to do something that hasn't been done before, or to do something that's never been done in your area, your community, all of them, large scale, small scale, any of it. It takes a certain amount of willing to be judged, willing to be different, willing to do things that are unorthodox, right? So that is why I thought that quote was fitting today for this. So
Like it.
glad to have you guys on today. Usually we do a read of the week. So if anybody here I did not bring a book, so I failed in that aspect today. Is anybody here a reader? Anybody like to read a lot of books that might have a suggestion or anything you ever read that you said, you know what, that was a good book back in the day?
We have been knee deep in playbook for the last
There you go.
15
That's
weeks.
a good
Come
book
on
in
now.
itself, Coach.
It really
That's
is.
a good book in
It
itself.
really is, yeah.
Definitely. All right, let's dive in. Let's get into some topics, some conversation. Let's talk about your guys' story and kind of how this all came about, and let's dive in. Dev, you want to start with anything, my man?
Yeah, I'll start with I'm super excited to be in the presence of greatness today. For those that you guys that don't know, we have the Detroit Prowl. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves here in a second, but super excited for the opportunity to not only learn about you guys, but about the team, about your mission and what you guys really stand for. Excited to check out a game here in the future, and Coach is just showing me a nice little clip, so I think it's gonna get pretty aggressive. So I'm super excited to be here on the
Let's
show.
go.
Well, I'll start. I'm Michael Vitale. I'm one of the principal owners and also the associate head coach of the Detroit Prowl. Sam,
Nice to meet you, Coach.
pleasure meeting
Very
you guys. Sam,
Okay. My name is Sam Kader, and I play with y'all. I'm really excited to have this opportunity. And on the team, I play O-line and D-line.
All right, guys. My name is Lexi Bryant, number 8. Unfortunately, you won't see me on the field the rest of the year, but this is my second year playing women's football. I'm a linebacker and running back.
Shout out to the running backs and linebackers. Everybody knows that's my positions right there that I've been coaching and love forever. So shout out to you for playing those
Thank you.
positions.
there you go.
I'm Mika Vining. I am from Monroe, Michigan. This will be my 7th season, first year with the Prowl. I've played a little bit everywhere this season, but mostly quarterback and outside linebacker.
Allie Gorska. I'm also one of the owners and the quarterback and linebacker, I guess we can say as well. Hopefully you'll see me back out on the field.
you can call it the star position.
The star position. I don't know
That's
if
what it
people
is
know.
for
Yeah,
us.
the star
Okay.
position. So
I think I have to jump right into it. I'm not a big guy by any means. I'm a graduate here of St. Mary's Catholic Central, And the only like football experience I had, I knew we were going back to the state championship my senior year. So I said, hey, you guys maybe mind if I like join the football team? And it's so funny. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool.
I'm going to guarantee you it was probably right after all the lifting was done for the entire
Right,
offseason.
100%.
Nope. I got to experience like the whole like 2 days. Like you guys remember watching like Hoover High and back in the day, and like mind you, zero football, not like first downers. If you guys know what that, like none until my senior year. But I dropped like 20 some pounds during the weightlifting, and we had like a liftathon, and it went from like lightest weight to like heaviest. Mind you, it's my senior year, and like it's for charity, so like we got to make sure we complete. It's 1 rep, max out. I think I was like 85 pounds, and I'm like, once again, I'm like, I said, put one of those 45s on there. Like, no. But super cool. We did get back to Ford Field, as I knew we would. We lost the first game of the season and the last game of the season, but the brotherhood, or the sisterhood that's built through football is unlike anything. I played hockey, never played like T-ball or anything. We were talking about that pre-production, but football players are wild. I didn't realize that until like getting into like a couple games, and of course we're like, yeah, we'll put you on special teams. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm just gonna run down there, make sure I don't get hit, and I'm finding the ball. I got hit, but I wanted to pop right back up to like make sure like everything was good. I checked everything like I was in an accident or something. I'm like, all right, we're good. Right back to the sideline. I'm like, coach, like, I'm good. I'm good. And going back to like those 2 days, it's the end of July. It's hot as all can be. I'm calling myself out here. I wanted to self-induce vomit to like not have to run for a second. So I was doing like anything disgusting. Like I'm literally trying to like soak the sweat out of my shoulder pads. I'm like, let me try this.
That
is
beyond nasty.
That is
terrible. I knew what I was doing. I'm like, coach, I'm throwing up.
Horrifying.
I was just trying to get it all out to not have to run. And football coaches are different too. Someone came to practice and said, coach, I have an upper respiratory infection. He said, you have a cold? And I was like, upper respiratory infection sounded so much better. Like I thought maybe like he wouldn't make him. Oh no, he was on the line. I'm like, this dude's ruthless. But through all the hard work, the determination, getting back to Fort Field, I saw all that went into it. So whenever people are like, oh, football, I'm like, well, let me tell you about the time we went to Ford Field. So, but I want to get to know, how did you guys get into this? What made you want to play? You guys, as coach said, you guys are doing something different here, without a doubt. So if we can just kind of go around, how did your journey start, and why do you continue to play the most physical game that's out there?
I guess I can start. So I hate to say this, but I honestly found women's tackle football on TikTok. I hate it so much. But it was a team in Arizona, and I just remember watching the video and being like, what? There's women's tackle football. And then, I was Googling around and ended up finding a Detroit team. That was my first year last year. And then kind of just fell in love with it. I grew up playing football, flag football, right? I have a twin brother, so whatever he did, I did. So played football. I was the quarterback of the boys football team. And then, as we got older and older, the boys, was 7th grade, and they went to pads, and my mom was like, you're done. So it's kind of just watched your football career, kind of go away, in the fact that I just never thought I'd have the chance to play again. So the fact that I found it and, met all these great teammates, it's kind of just like a cool full circle moment for me.
Out of curiosity, before you move on, how popular is this right now? Like, is this something you just seen in Arizona and here, or is this something you've seen spread out throughout the country? I mean, for those watching who don't know, how popular is this right now?
Women's pro football, tackle football, is the fastest growing sport in the world. There are teams around the world. There are specific leagues. Germany has a huge league. Okay. Europe has a huge league. From Iceland and Greenland. Finland hosted the World Championships last year. Mexico has an incredible team. There's Team USA, but in the United States, there's just under 2,100 players that people don't know about. And that's one of the reasons we're here today.
Yeah, I don't think most people would even know that number, to be honest.
Right.
So I was curious. Go ahead.
So, yeah, how I came into football. So, I think mine started. I went to a Pride festival in Toledo, and they had like a booth set up. It was Toledo Rain, and I signed up, got the information, and then day of the combines or tryouts, I didn't want to go in. I was chickened out, and then that led. I ended up going and played for Toledo for 6 years. I've also played with USA All Stars, overseas and in the States here, and then now with these guys here. And it's been awesome to meet so many different people.
Well, I learned about football through Mary. Mary plays with us too. I actually adopted my cat from her. And then I saw her posting stuff and I was like, this is interesting. Mind you, I knew nothing about football. Football for me is soccer. So
Fair enough.
so I saw her posts and stuff and I was like, Mary, I want to play. And she connected me with Allie and I went to first practice. First practice was hell. I didn't know. I was contemplating if I wanted to go back or not. But I'm here.
Shout out for sticking it out.
Yeah.
Shout out for perseverance and not quitting, right?
All right, guys. So for me, I played sports my whole life. I played soccer, basketball. My uncle was my biggest role model. So he's 6 years older than me, right? So I was young. He had all of his hot, football boys over. So I would try to get in as much as I could. But just being an athlete, right? So outside of high school, college, it's like, what can we join or like what can we be a part of to feel like you once did when you were younger. So I actually had a mutual friend. She was a kicker in high school and she's like, hey, like you should try out, like you would be amazing. Finally gave it a try and I fell in love with actually being a player. So I've always loved football, right? Watching it on Sundays, Saturdays, go blue. But
Facts.
Go Blue.
Go blue. Wow.
It's a different love now. It's me being a player. I've learned so much as a player now, and I still have so much to learn. So these girls, this group just keeps me going, even though it's a little tough right now. I wouldn't want to be around another group of girls.
Shout out. What about collectively, or Coach? Actually, you go ahead. What about you? How did you get started?
God, it's a wild story. 2001, I moved back to the area to be on the radio in Ann Arbor. Friend of mine from high school called and she said, listen, I just want to see if this is going to work. Yeah, come see what this is about. It was a tryout. It was during one of the NFL broadcasts back in 2001. And I said, yeah, I'll follow you. Okay, see what's going on. And like I am wont to do, I was up in the stands watching and I opened my mouth and made a comment about the quarterbacks going to kill themselves. And the guy next to me who's sitting up in the bleachers said, well, what do you know about it? Real arrogant. I went, what? Don't you know who I am? No. So I told him my background. He said, why don't you go down there and talk to him? And I said, oh, hell no. I'm going to go down there with another coaching staff and say, let me help. He said, no, I own the team. And from that moment forward, it has been 21, 22 years of absolute insanity. But it's been a joy. And that's one of the reasons this team is around, the Detroit Prowl is around at all, is because I've got 21 years of watching failure. And I don't mean failure on the field. I mean business failure. The Detroit Danger and Detroit Demolition they're legendary. Detroit Danger and Demolition lost 7 games in 9 years. At one point for our 4-peat, we were 43-1. So coaching women's football is very, very easy. It's getting the women to buy in. And that's where we're at right now. And we are just going to rebuild women's football the way that it needs to be rebuilt.
I love that. So let's piggyback off and dive into that. So let's get to the Prowl. So how did this all come about? When did this idea start? How does it happen? How does something like this even begin?
Situations arise during a football season that you look in the mirror and go, I just can't do this anymore. Now, I've been around football since I was probably 8, 9 years old. Okay. And when I look in the mirror and I'm going to quit because I can't deal with what's going on, you either find your heart and find that passion, or you actually quit.
That's
well,
real.
Quitting wasn't about to happen. Spoke to a couple of players last year, and by the end of the season, I had started to build a plan in my head, and within 2 months, put together a business plan, put together a really decent business plan that doesn't follow women's football at all. You know, when you see 5, 6, 7 leagues and hundreds of teams not make it past year 1 or 2, you start to realize what not to do. And the business plan that we've come together, you can ask Al, you can ask my fiance Denise is behind us also. She's one of the owners, but you can ask most of the veterans also. The business plan and the business model is nothing like any of the veterans have ever seen before. Not at all. As a team. And it's got to start with the grassroots building of this. Little boys are playing football 5, 6, 7 years old. Girls don't find it until flag football in high school. All they've ever seen is, powder puff. So now it's time to take professional women's football, grow it the way it's supposed to be grown, create a business around that. And here's the Detroit Prowl.
How large is the roster?
Okay, so the roster size is much like everything else. It's fluctuating quickly. Okay. We have 25 on our roster, 27 technically on our roster. Okay. Unfortunately, with people who can't make it, people who, and let's be honest, we're talking about women who have lives.
Right.
So
Kids,
it's not like we're
jobs.
dropping $5 or $6 grand a week on these women, although somehow, yeah. But what has happened is the fact that we as coaches and we as a team have to kind of finagle schedules to practice and to play. And that's part of this. And then of course, then the injury bugs start to pull up and that's always lovely between you're starting running back and quarterbacks going down week after week with knees. We had 2 broken hands in the first 2 games. I've never seen a broken hand the way I've seen broken hands that aren't boxers. It's like, what are you women doing, man? For crying out loud. So we clubbed up Kelly last week. She looked like, honest to God, she looked like Ronnie Lott back in the 80s when he lost his finger, that big old club. Honest to goodness. But we work it out the best we can. We figure out when they can be there. We teach as much as we possibly can. And, as coaches, it's a great coaching. It's a great tool to learn how good of a coach you really are, because you're teaching from the basement every single week, every year. I mean, Sam's a great example of this. Seriously, Sam came in, had absolutely no clue about football, but I'm going to tell you what's happened in the last probably 6 weeks. It kind of clicked with her. As most coaches, you'll find a player that it'll just click. And then she suited up for her first game in Virginia, and it flipped a switch with Sam. And I'm going to tell you right now, she may be the rookie of the year in this league.
Lights came on and you stepped up then. Stepped up under them bright lights.
Yes, and that's huge.
Yeah, definitely.
In Virginia? So
in Virginia.
You guys are traveling.
It's like that.
Wait, I didn't know you ain't played for like another team real quick. I'm going to try it over here. So let's talk about the schedule. So you said there's a lot of leagues. I'm still stuck on this Virginia thing. Now I see where the money. Okay, guys, this is a commitment. You're not just going up the road to go play little high school over here.
Oh, no.
You guys are around the nation.
Yeah.
Awesome,
I mean, just to get to experience that. Now I see, because once again, pre-production, like, oh, like movie night. I'm like, oh, these guys actually hang out outside. No, you guys are kicking it all the way down the road to Virginia.
Oh, no. What you don't understand is, and this is the big shock for everybody, they pay for everything. They pay for their insurance.
Now talk about commitment.
They pay for their helmets. Your football coaches, what's a football helmet run?
You honestly don't want to know. Honestly, you don't want to know at all. But they're $400. I was just about to say, for a good one,
yeah, $450. And then if you start getting up there where the NFL is, you're talking about $1,300 a helmet, shoulder pads, $200-$300.
Facts.
Oh, and then you've got don't forget the pant pads. You got knees, hips. We
ain't lifted on it for nothing, bro.
And then you start looking at the shoes, and you're looking at cleats that are at least $60-$70. So you're talking, besides everything else, you're talking about between $1,400 and $1,700 out of their pockets to play. There's league fees, there's team fees. Team fees were the cheapest this year with this new team than I have seen or heard in the last 20 years. Okay, our team fees to play in the league were still under $250, but it's all coming out of pocket. So they're looking for sponsors personally. They're looking for any NIL deals that they can get, and we're trying to help that happen. But it's got to come from places, it's got to come from the grassroots. And if little girls don't get this opportunity and they don't see these women out there playing football, the sport will do what it's done for the last 30, 40, 50 years. Women's football's been around since 1924.
Oh, wow.
Out of curiosity, what are some of the ways you guys are doing that? What are some of the ways you're trying to elevate it then to another place? Or let me put it this way, what are some of the ways you're trying to build it from the young people up?
Right here. It starts with this podcast. It starts with you guys growing the sport, and people need to hear about it. They have to be able to get out there. Come on out. May 6th we play RVA, the Richmond, Virginia team, at Allen Park High School at 6:00. Come see it. And once little girls start to see, especially little girls now that are just so active and wanting to learn, giving that opportunity and getting an opportunity from sponsors. I mean, we've got some incredible sponsors, and I'll do the same role. I'll pull a NASCAR driver. The Livonia Athletic District is an incredible sponsor for us. Indoor facilities all year long. We're working on bigger deals with that. Ally Financial, kicking in money. So there's a whole boatload of these places. Detroit Aggregate, Griffin.
And that's how you start to get some recognition.
So but here's the thing: you start seeing people that start believing in what we're trying to build.
Right.
And every one of these women, all 25 on our team, they find a way to bring people in and to attract more people to come in to see what's going on. Once they see how intense this football is, people are hooked.
Yeah, I can't lie. I'm trying to get involved with y'all somehow. Like we'll talk after the show, but like I'm trying.
I got one for you.
I'm trying to figure it out, man. Let's do something.
You come out to practice, and we'll have you field a couple punts. How's that sound?
Let's do it. That'd be fun, but
yeah,
I don't know. I haven't done that in quite some time. But I wouldn't say I was a punt returning type of guy in high school, but.
Well,
that might be fun, but I'm fair. All jokes aside, though, like I'd love to come out to a practice, and I'd obviously love to come to a game. And I think like even bringing my young one, I got a 9-year-old, so I think even bringing her out to watch the game would be super special, right? Something that we could do, something a little different. And football doesn't bore her, but about halftime she typically checks out. But I think maybe if it's women's football, and it's she kind of looks at it like, oh, that could be me one day. That kind of changes things a little bit, I think, potentially. So, but yeah, and then business wise, I'd even like to talk to you guys after this individually or collectively. Like, I'd like to have some conversations with y'all for sure. So
something else that these ladies are doing is they're all about community. So to that whole going back to the young girls who need to learn, these ladies are going to be putting on like combines, tryouts,
in clinics.
That's almost the answer I was hoping for. To be honest,
already.
That's what I love.
Planned. There's already dates, I believe, that they're going to be doing this, and they're going to be out there and teaching these girls who are going to be able to see them in their jerseys, might have come to a game to see them. They're giving back, and they're teaching these girls, you can do this. This is something I mean, I played way back in the demolition days. So these are my next generation that are sitting here. So now they're giving back to the next generation. When I played, I guarantee these girls were single digit in age. So I'm old. So, but that's something when we built the team, when Allie and Michael and myself and the other owner, Greg, we all
Sean.
sat together, and Sean, who's been in women's football for over 17 years, active, still plays on our team. When we all sat together and we were like, what is the mission and the goal we want to reach? And we talked about, we wanted to build the future of women's sports. Well, this is current women's sports. It's not the future of women's sports. So how can we give back to the community, reach these young ladies? And that's something that this team has really been dedicated to as well. So
I love that. That's perfect. Honestly, I was hoping for that answer. I was almost thinking it in my head, like I know they got some kind of youth camps or something going on, because I can tell just by the way he talks, he's really about making this better, right? I can just tell genuine just by sitting in this conversation. So I knew there was something in there along those lines. That's incredible, because that's how you get people out to see it and really see it. And then they build relationships with y'all, right? And that's the most important part of sports, is the relationship part. So
And that's that. I mean, that's not just coaching. Player to player relationships are
100%.
incredible. You got people like we were just talking about Chantel Shelton. Chantel has been in women's football 17 years. She actually played against our team when she was a rookie for another Detroit team. So she has seen what success is by looking at it, and now she wants to bring that success that she's experienced throughout her career to a team that's going to build women's sports and women's football specifically.
most definitely. So I want to kind of know about the schedule. Like, I want to know about your yearly rotation of a schedule. That's something that I wanted to ask from the very beginning. Before I forget, I want to get to it. Like, what does the off season look like? What's the season look like?
Well, we'll tell you once the off season hits, and hopefully that's going to be late July after we start ordering a championship ring. You know, that's our plan.
So you're mid-season right now.
We are mid-season right now.
Okay, let's talk about it. How's it going?
It's been an experience. You can ask these ladies. It's been.
What's going on? Let's talk. How's it going this season?
Guys, go ahead.
So current record is we're 1-2 right now. But I think that I can answer for all of us here. That doesn't really begin to describe what we've done as a team. And I think that's something that's so special about the team that we have right now is the last game we were on the field, we went down with 12 because like we talked about schedules and so forth. I went down and then we were at 11, then we were at 10. And at one point on the field with, I think there's 9 versus 11, but there's not a single one of us on the field that ever, gave up. It was immediately a fight. And that's the crazy part about it is you're looking to players from the left and right of you, knowing they're battling till the clock hits zeros. And I think that's why we're so close is because there's literally that was just us, and we're our own biggest fans and, it makes us who we are. And so I guess the record right now really doesn't indicate what we're going to be doing. And I think that's just a start for us for sure.
Got to understand they had 33, 34 players. Okay. So what was incredible was it was a 14-6 game. I'm sorry, 14-8 game up until mid part of the fourth quarter. Now we had lost 2 players, one on the sidelines. We're playing 11 on 9 and they didn't score but until it was 11 on 11 again. So our 9 defenders just, what's the phrase I want to use? Do I want to say overread up? And stuck to them. There's a video you guys just saw of one of our players that came up, made a stick, just popped her, got her down. And that's what you see from this team. This team is as tough as I have ever seen a women's football team. And you got to understand, I coached a team that went 52-0 at one point. Okay. So that team was deep and talented. This team is just nothing but talent and heart. And there's, 15 of them ready to play right now.
And that goes a long way. I always tell, like, I'm a high school coach, so it's obviously different, but I always tell the kids, like, when I'm trying to motivate them or even just build the culture, the first thing I'll say when I go to a school is I'll take 12 that want to play versus 20 that don't give a damn. I'm going to take 12 people on that bus. And honestly, you can come on the bus, but you ain't getting a jersey once we get off this bus. You want to sit in the stands, more than welcome. But if I got to take 12 that want to play football, that's how we roll. But
Right.
you know, so I actually deeply respect that and appreciate that, because there's nothing you can replace with that. That's something that takes you, even if you're not winning right away, is something that eventually pays off down the road, no matter what. As long as you stick to the script and continue to do that with each other, eventually that everything falls into place.
Everybody on the team has heard me say this 1,000 times. The ownership has heard me say this 10,000 times. Get us through 2023. If we can finish off this season, we get a ring, this team will be unstoppable forever. And I mean that literally. There will be nothing that's going to stop this team from being as successful on the field as they will be off, because there's nothing they haven't found or even seen or experienced in 3 games this year. They've done more with less than any team I've ever seen.
Love it. What's your experience has been like? Anybody else want to share?
So like Devan first started off, the brotherhood that that you were hoping for, that when you were in high school, we have that sisterhood, right? So it's a few of us, but we will do whatever we need to do. So like we talked about, it's 11 versus 9 at one point, right? At that point, do we quit? What do we do? We don't want more of our players to get hurt. But that just shows what kind of team we are. Our 2 captains, two vets on our team. We're like, no, we're gonna keep going. We came here. We took a road trip, right? And we just have each other's back, and that sisterhood is just unbeatable.
That seems like that's the common.
I was gonna say that each girl on the team is awesome in her own way, and I love all of them. And last game on the field, each girl on the team kept their class and professionalism, and that was so important, because football can get really violent.
This is coming from a veteran of 3 total games, right? All right, let's think about that for a second. All right.
Okay, and we weren't playing like that. We were playing just football, and we didn't want to hurt anybody, and we just wanted to play and do our thing.
That's big to add on. That
they
makes
did.
sense. I like it.
Yep.
That speaks to the character of y'all, the culture, and the coaching. So it speaks to all that. So that's big.
Well, our head coach Ken Fenton has been a friend of mine. We've coached together 28 football seasons. We've been together since 2003. And he's an incredible teacher, but he's also a great motivator also, which is huge. And it's nice when you can have a friend and a coach that you can depend on like that. But he's also a motivator to me. So if he's motivating his coaching staff and he's motivating these players to do unbelievable things, that's the kind of guy you want to be around, and that's the kind of team you want to be around. The expectation is that we're giving a whole lot to this team as an ownership group. They have things that other teams have never even thought about having at this point, but the expectation is high on their end for what we are giving them, and they are delivering everything back by the truckload.
I love that. Love that.
I think for me, from like a branding standpoint, you guys look good. let me put it just there.
Hey, legit though.
Like the jerseys, the what do you call it? The athletic wear, coach over here with the hat. The who came up with this?
All of us.
The Prowl came up with it, because let me tell you right now, like.
So like a big portion of it, when we were thinking of like team names and what we wanted to be and what we wanted to put forth, growing women's football has been the overarching theme. And one of the things we wanted to grow with was men's football. So colors are what you probably see around Detroit, right? So the lion is a female lion. We couldn't call us the lionesses because that just doesn't sound right. It doesn't market well. So that's why you were like, okay, what can we do? So that's how the Prowl came about. The colors are that of, like the Detroit Lions for a reason, to eventually grow with them and to show that, you know, we can have men and women's football, and kind of grow as a force and be the real pride, because it takes a men lion or male lion and female lion to really make a pride. So that's where we were going with it.
Correct. And
Wow.
go on.
It's funny. Apparently, there's a group of us on the team called the Princesses. Not sure, but I would like to think I'm the first princess, because when Allie was sending me like, look at these jerseys, these are sweet, or what do you think about this? I'm like, no to that, but definitely yes to this. So I absolutely love our colors. They're sweet. Look how good I look, and for the rest of my teammates. But the Prowl is just super cool. Our colors, you know, the actual logo itself. I actually was just talking. I kind of want to get a tattoo. I don't know how my mom would feel about that one, but I'm thinking of a Prowl tattoo. Just put it out there.
The logo came from Sports Decals, the place that does most helmet decals. And what we did is the story of Greg as an owner is just unbelievable. We find out, you know, we're at a bar having the first ever Prowl meeting, and this guy's with his daughter and his wife, and he says he's listening. He's like, I want to get involved. Give him a card. He literally texts me before I even leave the bar. Find out he's a graphic designer. So we took the logo that we were looking at. He kind of tweaked it, put it together for us. I gave him the colors, and the next thing you know, we have this logo that's in the middle of you know, trademark situation. So we're getting that taken care of. The font for the Prowl that you see was gifted us by an attorney in Texas, and he gave us all 13 of his fonts. I'm serious.
Awesome.
This is how
that is awesome.
We got it all.
it's called Paladins, and we own them all now. So I'm telling you,
awesome.
it has been a connect the dots from the first meeting. And to be honest, Allie and I were on the phone, and it just came out. I was like, well, you know, how about Prowl? And back and forth. It's like, I don't know, that's a little tough. And then when you start seeing it, you know, in its print form, and when it's put on gear, it actually is pretty phenomenal. And let's be honest, that's what 99% of professional sports is let's upgrade our font, let's upgrade our gear, let's upgrade this, change this. And I think our between our font and what we have as a logo, rolls pretty well and is going to be everywhere in the next few years.
Just before you go, Dev, just to piggyback off of what you just said with branding and what you all said, I think that's for the mission to grow the sport, especially to reach young people. That's so important. It has to be cool. It just has to. That's just the way it is nowadays, right? Like everything you do has to have some kind of coolness factor to it. It's got to be something that kids go, oh shoot, that's pretty sweet. So
it's got to have that. It's got to have that drip.
That drip.
I've learned that in the last few weeks. You know,
it's kind of crazy because it kind of relates to that quote that you read, and you know, starting something new and you know, not being scared to do it. And when Coach and I were going back and forth, I was like running through everything in my head, like, what could someone say about this? Like, what could they bash it? Like, how is this gonna be made a meme? Like, it's just going like back and forth, like. What you know, is there any way people can take it? So that was kind of, I would say, one of the scarier parts for me is just putting the name, the logo out there, because that's the immediate, everyone can have an opinion about it. You know, if you run a football play, the football connoisseurs, maybe they know better, but half the world would be like, oh, that's a good play, they ran up the middle, you know, but everyone knows a good branding and a logo. So that one for me was kind of like, oh boy, like, let's see how this one goes.
Definitely.
Yep.
Definitely. Yeah. When
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, my man.
I just feel that's how it starts. Like that's just where my mind is all the time, is just branding, the marketing aspect. Like you guys walk into a school, I'm like, oh, like, I mean, if you guys were all just wearing like black shirts that just said, I'm like, oh, that's cool. No. I walked in, I said, oh, it's the tape's here.
When I walked in tonight, I had that feeling. I said, oh, this is professional. I said, oh, they got the jerseys on and everything. Okay.
And why
This is the
wouldn't
real deal.
a young lady look at you guys and say, that's how I want to look?
Right.
And now as like we're doing more stuff in sports, seeing the like young ladies with the wrestling. Well, if you can get a takedown, you can get a tackle.
Yeah.
Young sis. So like
come on, come on.
I'm just saying, seeing it from like the little kid on the 8, 9, and 10-year-old. But now, to you guys in your 20s, I'm sure there's some vets in their 30s and maybe even older. Like, I feel like this is something that can really, really connect with this younger generation. You guys look cool. And now you start making hits like Coach over here showed me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me put my hair up real quick. Like, it's just really, really cool to see that. Not only from that, but to know you guys can look good, but you guys are playing good as well.
That was one of the first things that we talked about in the first combine, in the first virtually every phone call that I've made to every new player is the fact that it's going to be a first class operation. We're going to run this as an NFL team. We're going to run this in a first class manner. And if you're not going to hold yourself to that standard, please move along. There's enough teams around that you can go play for, and they don't care how you're going to practice. They don't care what you look like. They don't care what you're doing. Look, we need to be somebody to look up to. And look, it's not like, not like we're not coaching hard. We are. And there are times when the language gets a little darker than it needs to. But if
Definitely.
you hear these women on the field, you're going to hear worse. Everybody's talking earlier about Mika not being, she's quiet little girl. I'm going to tell you who she is. She's Larry Bird on the court. She talks more stuff on the field. But the best thing about
you
about
need
everything,
that though.
Yeah,
Coach, you need me and Coach Harris. Shout out to him. He was on Sunday. He's from River Rouge now. He's at Harper Woods, but we talked about it on the show. You need a few people that got a little edginess, a little talk to them. You have to have that. I think I've never been around women's football yet, but I would imagine it's the same thing. You need a few people with a little attitude that are a little hard to deal with maybe as a coach, but you need a few people like that or somebody that just kind of brings that attitude.
I've got to tell you, our first home game when we played in Allen Park 2 weeks ago, I was out taking care of some business. Being an owner, I was running around, and I happened to step outside the gate. I had to run to a vehicle to pick some stuff up, and there were people lined up along the outside of the fence at the field.
They still owe us
watching.
$10 a piece, though. I'm going to tell you, we're going to collect that money.
They were watching, and there was a father and a son who were standing right by my car, which you could see. It was perfect. You could see right onto the field. And the dad turned and said, "Is this a new boys' league?" Now, these young ladies are wearing pads, helmets. You can't tell from a distance, but from what he was seeing, the hits that they were giving on the field, the speed of the running that was going on the field, the throwing of the ball. He's giving me a look. You would have thought, because people don't think of women's football, right? So they're thinking this is another boys team, or maybe it's a new Michigan men's semi-pro team. And I turned and looked at him. I said, "No, this is the Detroit Prowl, the Detroit women's pro team." And his son was like, "What?" And they actually ended up coming into the game and watching the game. And I don't know if it was Allie. It was one of the young ladies with long hair. As you see, Sam has really long hair. They have it pulled up. You can't see it. They walk past you if you don't know it's a young lady. The pads hide the female figure. But that someone took the helmet off. And I remember hearing the little boy say, "Those are girls." Because they're on the field and they're playing their hearts out. You're not going to know the difference. These girls, they'll clean your clock. So especially,
let's go. I love
especially
it.
that
Let's
one
go.
over there, little Miss Sam.
How I smashed my hand.
She may have a hand injury from doing that, but
No, her finger works really well from what we've seen so far today.
but it's not downplayed because it's girls. It's not softer. It's not. This is holy smokes. And there's been through the years where we've met with some NFL players and they're like, "Oh yeah, let's see this film," and they're expecting to see roughly powder puff, right? And they see some of these hits that some of these ladies dole out. Our first home game, there's footage on the internet of one of them. She literally pancaked one of the girls that
Lifted her
came
up.
up on her, and you heard the hit and you heard the player hit the ground. She literally picked her up and WWE just crushed her. And people are like, people think boys, and it's girls. So these ladies show that the sport is real.
I love it. I'm an old school football guy. In a lot of ways, I'm a very old school football guy. So the hard hitting, the pad clapping, I like it. And to what y'all said earlier, you have to be, no disrespect intended to any of you, but you have to be a little crazy to love football. A little bit. Like there's got to be something in here that's just slight. You don't have to be way off, but there's something slightly off in there. Coaches too, and I love coaching football, but it's the truth.
One of the things I learned in the 20 plus years of coaching women's football and being around women is, first, I probably should have never gotten married. That's the first thing. But what you learn about the female psyche changes your life as a man. Okay. Women are, and as a guy, we're always competitive. Women are far more fierce. They're far more vindictive. They have memories that don't ever go. We lost our third game ever as the Detroit Danger. We didn't lose again until the championship game of our 5th year. Okay. And they let that burn in them. They're more vindictive. They are far more predatory. Don't piss one of these women off and think you're going to get away with a cheap shot, because sometimes somewhere down the road, it's coming back to you. Okay.
That's real though. That's real.
I have taken film. I used to coach with Football University when it was still one of the elite camps. I used to travel around and bring some of the highlight films, and some of these NFL coaches that I coached with would look at it and go, that is just ridiculous. Yes. And now you know why we have 6 rings. Now you understand why, because we don't allow them to ever think it's women's football. It's football. Period. We played a Mother's Day game in the mid-aughts and at Ford Field, and the Lions organization was there. Obviously, we're at their home, and some of the Lions players came out of their workouts inside of Ford Field to watch the game and didn't realize it was women's football. And that's the biggest compliment these women get. You got people on the sidelines talking about it. This is girls. Yes, it's not girls. It's women, and they will straight shut your mouth about it too. Trust me.
That's real, though.
Honest to goodness. Yep. And it's intense.
When's the next game?
Next game is coming up May 6th. We're off this week. May 6th at home, hosting the Richmond, Virginia team that took us out week 1. The conditions of our field are going to be far better. If it's under 4 feet of snow, it's going to be better. So we will we'll have something for them when they come back to try to visit us. 6 o'clock is kickoff. All
right. So I can actually, I'm going to stop out there and actually make it
to a game. Come on upstairs.
I'm intrigued by all of it. I'm intrigued by the business aspect. To be honest, I'm intrigued by just being different, doing something different. I'm intrigued by what you all just told me. Again, I'm an old football head. I like pads clapping, so football is fun to me. So yeah, I'm gonna come out on May 6th for everybody listening too, and we'll continue on in the convo. But just for anybody listening, May 6th at Allen Park at the new field out there. So beautiful new turf field.
Oh, it is incredible. It's completely digital. From upstairs straight down to the locker rooms. The locker rooms still smell like fresh paint. Okay. It's incredible what Allen Park has done with their field. It is right now probably one of the jewels of high school football in Michigan. Honest to goodness, 11 point whatever $1 million. And that field is, honest to God,
it's beautiful.
It's digital, top to bottom.
It's beautiful.
Oh, please. As much as Michigan football is,
True.
Go try and find a stadium any better in Texas or Florida right now. I got news for you. That place is just spectacular.
It really is. I was just saying before I got here, I left Allen Park and I haven't actually been out there yet, but every day I just kind of sit out there and just look and dream that one day, I'm like, that's just such a nice facility. As a coach, as a player, you want to be a part of stuff like that. That's super important. I think having the nice uniforms like we talked about earlier, playing in the nice field, having all those luxuries, I think is super, super important.
I teased them all winter long about, we're at the Lad and that's some great indoor facilities. I said, but you guys don't realize what you're going to play on. And I think to a player, when they walked out there, it's like, wow, this is not what we expected at all. And that turf is just incredible. Shout out to the AD Jimmy over there. He's an incredible guy there. Their staff is just fantastic. And we can't ask for a better host for our football team.
Y'all like the turf? Y'all like playing on it?
Well,
I don't really know
Lexi,
if I do.
yeah,
But
You
yeah,
like the
it's
turf
beautiful.
experience?
It's amazing. Mhm.
I'm a turf guy myself,
Yeah.
so I enjoy the turf. There's some people who, are all about grass fields and don't like the turf. Turf causes a bunch of injuries, those sort of things.
yeah.
I love
Well,
the turf, though. I'm not gonna lie. I love
Yeah.
nice shine across the
Yeah.
field and walk out, and it's just like, that's beautiful. Let's go to work.
Yeah.
That's what
So-
coach was mentioning. Our first game, it was actually raining on a grass field, and it was pretty muddy by the end of it. And one of our rookie linemen came up to me. She's like, "Allie, I was trying to hold her, but I was just sliding back in the mud, and I wasn't going anywhere." So, yeah, we were excited to get back on turf.
Do y'all play in some? Not to interrupt you, but do y'all play on some rough fields? I mean, is there some pretty beat up?
Well,
Like in high
our-
school, we'll get a couple of fields a year where we're like, we
Right.
already know they done brought the hose out,
Yeah.
watered the field down. It's going to be terrible out here. Do y'all come across that?
Our first game was an absolute mud pit. So like at the end of the game, I kind of just want to do a cannonball. Like that's how much you could do midfield, right? But just going back to our home field really quick. So it's really important to have, a beautiful field for, our program, but to offer that to, people that are coming out of town, just to offer them beautiful, locker room that they can do whatever they need to do is really big, right? If you're coming from out of town, you don't want to be trapped in a closet, just to do your plays. So it's nice that we can offer that to our opposing team.
Yeah, that's why we're not in our white jerseys. There's the
They're a
bleach
little
didn't
stained.
work. Yeah.
I think that's super big for like sportsmanship too, right? Like that's not something you always talk about, right? You talk about like shaking hands after the game, but like supplying a proper facility, supplying a proper changing room, those sort of things. That to me is like a whole nother level of sportsmanship. Because coach, I know you've been coaching a long time. You said, and I've been to some places where I'm like, is this serious? Like this is what we're doing today? This is honestly what we're doing? I can't believe even in high school that this is. So I wondered, what kind of stuff you all come across, especially because for the most part, it's still coming up, right? It's still at the somewhat of some places still at the beginning stages, some of the teams.
Yeah, overall it is. There's a lot of teams that have had, some time to find a really nice place to play. Like I said, there's probably close to 100 teams in the US right now. And there's a lot of places that just don't have the facilities. Specifically some of the smaller towns. You don't have huge facilities. You're still talking about, high schools or middle schools that they're playing at that were put together in the 50s and 60s. So their field is not exactly something that they're, really putting a lot of money into. You play where you play, but you try to make it better for everybody else. And that seems to be what women's football has forgotten is that it's nice that some of these teams have championship rings and play and have huge rosters. But what are you showing the rest of the community if you're not trying to help that high school or that particular area grow? You have to give
That's
them
huge.
something, and that's why signing the deal with Allen Park this year was so huge. Every downriver community realizes they have something to give. But some of these bigger teams, some of these teams that have been around for a while, haven't helped the downriver community from Monroe up. Just think about sports history. There's been professional softball teams that have just left or just stayed in the Detroit area. That's not how you grow this. That's not how it's going to grow. It's not how it's going to grow across the country either.
To feed off that at the game. Of course, we have to charge an entrance fee so you can get into the game. But one of the things that the team sort of all agreed on, the ownership agreed on with Allen Park High School, they have concessions. We all have concessions at football, right? Instead of us taking the money for concessions, we allowed Allen Park High School to let their boosters in so that their boosters could run the concessions and they take all that money. So that's our way of giving back to the community again,
Shout
another
out.
way.
Yeah.
So that I know that our first home game, it was the Allen Park High School's girls soccer team. So that was cool that their families, and we had 700 plus in attendance at our first game. So if you think about every one of those who went and got a bottle of soda or a bottle of water
I'm like,
or got popcorn, they had pizza, they had everything there. The money that they made off of there was lines at the concession stand. Every time I turned around, I saw a line. So they made good money. So hopefully our team was able to support their team by allowing their boosters to come in and come into their own concessions. They knew their concession stand, what was available. So we were able to give that completely back, and we plan on doing that for the remainder of our team's existence. So
that's what this team it was focused on from the get-go. Was, listen, if you don't get the community involved, you may as well just stop right now. Once you start getting the community involved and start giving back right away, the phrase I used earlier, let's get through 2023. Let's get through the season. Let's not worry about what's going to happen with concessions, or, we have merchandise. If somebody wants something from the team, heck, I bought a heat press so that it's saving us money. I'm serious. 90% of the stuff, the stuff that we have on, the one that Mika has on, that's me, buddy. That's me at 4:00 in the morning.
You thought a little girl with a bejeweler was bad. It's this man in a heat press. It's just everywhere. Yeah.
It's on the lid.
It's on the lid. Yeah.
Yep.
It's everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
To go off of that, we actually had a stand for T-shirts for the Prowl, and we had a bunch of colored T-shirts like black, gray, white, and we sold.
Sam, you're
almost,
downplaying it.
yeah.
Say what you actually did.
Well, it's help of Lexi and Kelly. Shout out to Kelly, and of course Mike, and he was the heat press guy.
they donated shirts and we sold them. So that's all part of this. The next thing that, if we want to talk about helping the community, Allen Park employees, if they have their Allen Park ID for students, staff, they're in free. So that's all part of creating a community bond. We can start extending it to other schools if they start getting interested and start coming out in mass. Call us, reach out online, find us on Facebook, drop us a note, DetroitProwl.com. Let us know that you want to help out. And look, we could use all the help we can get as volunteers, but if we're going to have you start selling stuff, we don't mind giving back right away.
All right, I haven't got off this 700 thing. So for you as a rookie to come out there in your first game and see the stands, because I've done some announcing for semi-pro teams and stuff, and you break 100, you're like, oh, we got people. What did you think about walking out of the locker room and seeing 700 people out there?
I mean, I felt nervous a little bit, but when you're on the field, you're just, that adrenaline is way up here, and you just want to hit someone.
Let's go. Let's go.
Why don't you go ahead and ask him what the theme is so far for this year?
HAB.
Hit a bitch.
Okay, and
Let's go.
See,
and Mike, when you said
you got to have some attitude though to win in football, you got to have it.
When you said make it through 2023, I'm thinking okay, maybe the team's all here. Maybe we'll get, a couple parents or grandparents in the stands. It sounds like you guys obviously have a great foundation underneath. My background's in marketing. What are you guys doing to market? Because you're not just flipping a switch and saying, hey, Prowl's playing at 6:00, come out to the game. You have to be doing something in order to be getting people out here.
Yeah, everything is social media right now.
Okay, so
we've not spent we've spent some dollars, but we've not spent a whole lot of money at all on any marketing or promotions, short of what's coming out of our pockets to put together merch and put together some other stuff. It's literally word of mouth and doing it the right way. Greg has put together, I told you, Greg has been a godsend to our organization and to a person. They'll tell you, here's a guy that we met at a bar that has put together some of the most dynamic videos. Listen, the Lions are paying how many hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for somebody to do all of their marketing stuff like that and all their videos and stuff. Greg did it. And I'm telling you, you can't tell the difference between the University of Michigan, the Detroit Lions, or the Detroit Prowl with the video he's put together.
He messaged Coach and I think it was a Saturday night. He's like, what do you think of this video? And I watched it and I was like, you did that. It was like the most,
Yeah.
it's on a line.
We will put it up for you before we leave, just so you guys can see the level. Listen, it's an expectation, and this ownership group, the coaching staff, and the players now all have expectations of each other, and that is not an expectation of, well, let's get by. I say let's get by to 2023, because what is being planned for 2024 already is astounding, and these veterans that have been around see the difference already.
It's the ladies. I've got to tell you, this group of ladies is by far a phenomenal. They're tuned in, they're dedicated, they're completely sold on football. They're inseparable. They really are. And they're constantly playing professional and holding each other to a higher standard. The social media is crazy. Greg does put phenomenal videos together. However, he has to have great footage to put together great videos, right? So the hits that Sam give, the hits that Lexi gives, the throws that Mika and Allie give, they're not doctored. I mean, you have to do those in order for him to do the video. And we already even have a fan club a little bit outside of the country. There's a Canadian young girls flag football team,
Flag
Michael,
football. Yep.
who has been following the Prowl literally since the first video from our combine, and they've wanted to come and watch us, and they had a game or something, our first game, so they're planning on coming out for the second game. But it's all social media that's just getting us out there, and now people like you that is allowing us to come in and talk about the team and to share their experiences and how just amazing these ladies are. So thank
We
you.
appreciate y'all. We big time appreciate you.
We appreciate the opportunity to be here, spread the word.
It's a mutual feeling for sure.
Fantastic.
'Cause like with the quote, like I said, I like different. I'm a creature of like different things, unorthodox things, because I think those are the things that kind of change the world, right? I think those are the people that, you said something earlier about how you were thinking through all these things at first. Could they do this? But the fact that you did it anyway makes you a winner regardless at this point, because there's people that haven't done it, right? That decided it wasn't something that they had the courage to do. And again, you may lead those people now to rethink it and do it now. But I think it's just, I like being around people who are different, right? Who are not afraid to do something just because, back down just because somebody might say something or think something or say, in your case, and I obviously don't think this, I'll be there on May 6th. You have my word. But, have people say girls shouldn't play football. I'm sure you've heard it, right? Those sort of stigma, those sort of dumb things, right? That you think about, right? Is this going to be a meme, or are they going to make fun of our gear? Anything like that. But so to me, I'm sitting with a room full of winners right now, in my opinion, full of difference makers. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, it's really hard to be scared when you have a team full of girls that just look back and we're like, we're going in. Like, you're either coming with us or you're not. Like, right. yeah. And I think that's what kind of gives us our all strength. Even if we each have a moment of hesitation, you just look around and someone else is standing behind you, and it's HAB. It's like, okay, I gotta buckle up too. So,
And I think with like you mentioned, Coach, with NIL being such a big thing, before we wrap up, I want to thank you guys not only for coming out here. I know some of you guys are from a little north area, so to make it down here to the Brain Jerk Studios is really super cool. But go around real quick and shout out your own personal brands, as well as we'll end with Coach here of how we can get a hold of you. I know you mentioned the website and the social medias, but I really want to take the time out to plug your own brand, as well as finish up with you, Coach.
Well, I can just say that I've had definitely a couple. One of my old neighbor I actually grew up with, the kind of kids that you would be like, all right, your mom would send you over to their house to have lunch and stuff. So she's actually, one of the managers at a team rehab. So she reached out to me, and, as Lexi and I can attest, and a few other injuries that we have, they've actually sponsored us, and our Prowl player can go in there, and they're giving us I want to say free treatment, in a sense, free treatment to help us keep going with our season. And we keep saying, it's a violent sport, it's invaluable that one, make sure our players are healthy to play the game, but then two, keep them healthy. So Team Rahab and Troy, the third location, that's important because there is 1 and 2. So three specifically has just been such a blessing. And I even have one of my best friends, actually, she sponsored us, and she runs her own social media company called Market G, and she heard me from talking about this from day one. So to see kind of her put her backing and her belief in something that we're starting and building, and it just kind of means the world to me. So I can't thank her enough for being a part of that. So if you need any social media managing, Market G, she's your girl. So
Shout out.
Lexi, go ahead.
All right. So for me, I actually got 2 sponsors. I don't know. My mouth kind of gets me in trouble sometimes, but apparently this time, it worked in my favor. So Griffin Plastic Surgery, Dr. DeLorean Griffin, that's actually who I work for. So I'm aspiring PA, but why would a plastic surgeon sponsor a football team? Because he believed in us. He believed in our sponsorship packet and all of the things that we stand for, right? Another company that sponsored us is Las Palapas in Livonia. It's an authentic Mexican restaurant. So they're really community based.
That's the spot.
You guys know that place?
Oh, there you go.
We're ahead. We're ahead.
Okay. So, community based, they always want to give back to the community. So I said, hey, that's exactly what we want to do. Let's work together. And we sometimes have team dinners there on Thursday night. So it works out. Yeah. You can meet us there on Thursdays.
Right on.
Sam's got nothing. Sam's quiet, but
Smiley.
right.
I don't have any sponsors officially, but I know my old head coach and her wife have helped out our team behind the scenes a lot. And I didn't know actually until I started talking with Coach Mike. But yeah, the Toledo Reign, her name, Mitchie Collette, she's been a big part of my life personally and in the football aspect. So to have her and her wife help us out in even the littlest ways with equipment, footballs, it goes a long way.
So yeah, I mean, wrapping up the sponsorship part, I'll just transition from there between Beth and Mitchie. They're not only, the Toledo Reign isn't playing this year, haven't played it for a few years, but she's offered up players that wanted to get back into playing. Mika's one of them. Beth and Mitchie have both been a sounding board and direction for getting something off the ground. Beth with a very huge advisory role, but I knew Mitchie back when I coached the Detroit Demolition. If you don't know what history is in the business that you're getting into, you need to figure it out because it helps. Mitchie was part of the Toledo Troopers. The Toledo Troopers were the first modern day women dynasty. Won 7 championships. She's an incredible human being. In fact, coming up May 6th at our game, it's Toledo Trooper night. We're going to introduce our fans to the Toledo Troopers and teach them about the history of women's football. And having Mitchie and her team there will help that a lot. Fast forwarding to May 20th, our old team, the Detroit Demolition, we're going to do a demolition honor night, getting some of the players back. And this team is literally the daughter of that team. Between our coaching staff and some of our advisors, when a team goes 74-7 in 9 years, and has a pretty nice little championship rings and a nice collection of them, you have to honor them for starting this off for us. And then of course the rest of our sponsors, Todd and the crew at the Lad. I can't thank them enough. The indoor facilities were huge, but their vision alongside of ours matched up immediately in our first meeting. And Todd and the crew were instrumental in getting us together and keeping us together. And the future with the Lad is going to be huge. The Livonia Athletic District, if you don't know about it, you got to check it out. They are rebuilding everything, and their plans for the future are going to be huge. So we'll be out there a lot of the summer, with especially with the Livonia Spree and stuff coming out there, where it's going to be huge, and then hang on and buckle up, because 2024 is going to be even bigger. Ally Financial has been an incredible help to us, getting behind women's sports. Ally Financial and Ally across the country have really backed women's sports. Don't know how much you know about Ally. I didn't, but they just dropped, close to $50 million this past year sponsoring sports. But they not only have a sports division, a men's sports division, but they have a specific women's sports division. So that's been huge also. Go ahead. Nope.
Yeah, the CMO whom I was connected with, she actually pledged to donate every dollar that she donated to men's sports, she would donate back to female women's sports. So she is, and she was actually one of the first people that started the Michigan State women's soccer team, making it a club team to a recognized collegiate sport for colleges. So she has been a true inspiration for me as well. Just to see that she's like, when you get into position to change other people's lives, if you don't do it, then what are you really there for? So just hearing her speak.
Ooh, let's go.
Yeah, it's been awesome. So I can't thank her enough.
It's been huge. I've used this phrase a lot, connecting the dots that we have. But when you start finding sponsorship, and when you start finding businesses that are aligned with your goals in growing a sport, and aligned with your community involvement, you can't help but get them aboard and hang on with them as long as you possibly can, because your goals are aligned. And once you find that finish line, everything after that's going to be all kinds of fun.
Love it. Where can we find y'all? What like, I know we talked earlier on social media. Where on social media for the viewers? Where can we find you?
So main ones are Facebook and Instagram. Then the website has, I guess, more of the hardcore information, the schedules, and things like that. You can player interest forms. That's where players go to sign up. But most of our information and our news and our cool videos are filtered through Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. Is that just DetroitProwl.com, and then
Detroit
just
Prowl.
Facebook, Instagram, at Detroit Prowl?
Yep.
The branding's there, coach. Bring us home.
Yeah.
Hey, this was a great show. I appreciate you all for coming out. Real quick, before we do wrap this up, I want you guys to just tell them one more time where and what time we can catch you guys on May 6th and moving forward. So, Coach, if you want, go ahead and just let's let the listeners know. Please come out and support these ladies.
Which one am I at? The bottom one.
They
right
work
there?
hard.
Okay.
Support Coach. He works hard. But make sure you guys come out. Everybody that's listening, come catch a game and just see what you think. Open your mind to it and see what you think about it, and let them go out and perform, and then you can make your decision whether you like it or not from there. Because I got a feeling you'll walk out being pretty excited. So
May 6th, Allen Park High School. Join us. The Detroit Prowl presented by the Lad. We'll see you May 6th at 6:00 kickoff.
Sounds good. May 6th, we'll be out there. I'm Coach K. This is my host today, Dev. I appreciate you, my man. Again, our newest sponsor, Monroe County Sports Network. We will see you guys on Sunday. Appreciate you guys coming out today.
Thanks.